是你们能不能？
刚才也问我啊，我可以回半点去，无可奉告。你们也不高兴。
哎，什么叫中国共产党啊？党叫干啥就干啥。
黑夜即将到来，一定要做好准备。
是。
干死共产党！不干死共产党，绝不罢休！
消灭中共是正义的需要。
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Exposing the CCP show today. And today we're going to have two audiences, and we're going to discuss a very hot topic today, which is decoupling from the CCP. As we know that Miles Guo has been proposing about this decoupling idea since 2017, and I'm glad to see that a lot of things has changed because of the economic and global geopolitical situations. And good to have Truth008 and also Chris today. Welcome to our show. Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be on the show again tonight. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, good to have you again, Truth007, brother.
Hello, Zee Chris, and our global comrades. And welcome to our program. We hope we're going to add some fire into taking down the CCP.
Yes, definitely. You know, we're going to help to terminate the communism globally. Okay, now let's watch a video from Mr. Bannon's interview, and he talked about the importance of decoupling, and that has been a great reiteration from Miles Guo's perspective. And let's watch the video. We'll be right back.
SvenAnna, you mentioned about dictator. Last week on the show, you mentioned about there's 5 big faction families and 1 dictator. So my question to you, I think U.S. need offensive strategy. And we know CCP fear the most. Xi Jinping fear the most is the political counterattack from within. And right now, America has the once of lifetime opportunity to leverage that cracks. So my question to you is, what is the Trump or Trump team currently strategy is for identifying and intensify those internal divisions? Borrow the sword to kill your enemy. That is a strategy that CCP has been using. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Ava, you're quite brilliant as always, and you ask amazing questions. Roy, I know it's tough for me to keep up with that now. These are brilliant questions. Ava, that's absolutely brilliant. And my only response is that's top secret.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And FSC will help the American people.
I just understand there are people spending a lot of time on that, a lot of time thinking that through, and a lot of time executing on that. And the factions are at each other's throats behind the scenes. This is why Xi just last week cashiered another senior general in the PLA.
Yes.
There's also a group, a part of the faction that's more even ultra-nationalist than Xi. And so there's tremendous turmoil, there's tremendous finger pointing, there's tremendous, inside the Chinese Communist Party of how did they get in this situation, because this is not something they had planned on, but they've prepared for but they never thought it would happen. There's a lot of finger pointing. There's a lot of second guessing on moves that have been made. There's a lot of dissension. Clearly inside the country, there's a lot of angst, unemployment, cost of living. Young people feel like they've been abandoned. The promise that, the trade-off the Chinese people have unfortunately been forced to make is to trade off some sort of economic security for giving up all their political and human freedom, which is a horrible, horrible thing, and has had such a horrible impact on Chinese civilization, and particularly the family, the traditional family, and people are questioning that. So it's a time of turmoil. I do think President Trump does put first and foremost, he wants to make sure we avoid a broadening of the kinetic war that's already started in Ukraine and in the Middle East, and now is off the tip of in Yemen, the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula. So we are in, for the audience, we are in the most dangerous time for the United States of America, and quite frankly, the most dangerous time in the world, even more dangerous than 1939 and 1940. The prelude to the great conflagration of World War II that took at least 35 to 40 million Chinese lives.
That President Trump have initiated the tariff against globally all the countries, especially communist China, and there has been a lot of ups and downs and regarding the policies. Some people worried about there going to be inflation in the United States. Some people worried about there going to be a tremendous job loss and also global economic slowdown. And there's so many perspectives, but either way, the strategy is basically is targeted specifically on the CCP. We have to decouple them and rebuild the global supply chain, and which is, of course, quite challenging. And let's start with the Truth 007. What's your perspective and takeaway, and what's your feeling so far regarding President Trump's new policy regarding the tariffs on CCP and decoupling? Is on mute? You're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Zee, for the great question. Well, decoupling, not only, I think, economically, but although it's very, very important. We can see the escalation of the tariff rate been increased to like some 240%. Okay, so, and I saw a report immediately. Those sales into American has dropped in the first week like somewhat 60% or 70%. So obviously, I think the CCP feel that impact. We also see the videos on the TikTok from inside China, the factories where produce goods, consumable goods, sell into like through Temu and other platforms into United States, and those factories are shut down, and the workers are ordered to leave the factory. So there's a massive amount of unemployment directly affected. Some of the estimation is like 10 million. So that's a lot. Okay, so 10 million will add to unemployment. Once they're gone, it's very hard to get the workers to come back again, because then they will go find some other things or just go back home, and it's going to be much more cost. With blood and the sweat labor in China, okay, and supply global goods, consumables, and other things. I think then the cost, and also the bankruptcy of those factories will be impose a great social unrest for the CCP's China. Yeah, you can see that the increases, the tremendous amount of increases even in the women's unemployment rate as well. A lot of young and middle-aged women have forced to prostitution as well. But that business is not as good. Some estimation of 5 million women joined that sex supply of sex service. So what we're seeing is that the factory shut down. Okay, so obviously the employment of unemployment rate goes up, and then come with the social unrest as well. So I think that way only at the cost of of how the Xi Jinping's government is going to maintain the stability of the country. That's very important. And I think the second most important thing that when Ava asked Steve Bannon the question is, as Americans, how Trump administration actually prepared for take down the CCP? And the answer directly is Ms. K. Bannon smiled and said, that's a top national secret. Okay, so we definitely implies definitely, and Trump also said they have weapons which is beyond anyone's imagination. So those weapons are ready to be deployed if a CCP threatens to be a kinetic war as well. I think in a way, Trump liked to talk in the social media and the main media as well. When interviewed, what his strategy is on, he always started with the words, we're maintaining still a friendly, normal communication with Xi Jinping, President Xi, like say now he's a secretary Xi, so it's a dictatorship. So the tone has been changed. In the same time, I think the Americans have weapons. If once you guys know, it will be unbelievable. I mean, someone speculated it's probably, can beyond the time and space weapons. Those alien technologies have been also talked about as well. So what we're seeing is that U.S. okay by Trump administration start tariff war, it is stir up the weakness of the CCP's economy. Okay. And also intensifies the domestic conflict, the unemployment rates. Okay. And the social unrest, so that will destabilize the CCP's regime, okay, and also make our brother sisters in China, those hard workers, make them lose confidence about the CCP's capability of maintain economical stability and social stability as well. So that all add fear into CCP, either trick them to surrender and negotiate, which doesn't seem is happening. Xi Jinping still play very strong. Although Han Zheng in another channel come talking to the Trump administration, but in the same time, that they will maybe force Xi Jinping. Remember, he's now the Emperor Xi. Force him to attack Taiwan, okay, to further break the geopolitical balances, so which can only expose themselves as the most evil source of global security as well. I think that may make all the countries who are in both sides maybe more determined. They want to get away from Xi Jinping and join the U.S. Forces as well. So that's what I can see from here. Back to you, Chris. See.
Comments, and all of these are very, very important in pointing out to the necessity of decoupling from the communist China, and especially we considering during the past few decades there are so many trade deficits of the U.S. with China, and the CCP used the money to influence the Western world, and it caused a lot of infiltrations and tried to undermine the United States and Western civilizations from inside. And the first Trump administration, he has taken several countermeasures trying to against the CCP, including a lot of trade negotiations. And right now, if you do the hindsight, we can see that a lot of these policies didn't work really well because the CCPs have a lot of polluters, inside the U.S. government. So hopefully this round, and we're going to see a different effect. And back to Chris. So what's your opinions on this influence of the tariffs so far, and what do you think this time the United States is going to have effective measures against China?
Okay, so I think this time it will be more successful, and it will be smoothly to decouple from the CCP, because this time we see that President Trump used the tariff to try to decouple the CCP, and we know that after President Trump announced that the tariffs, and then there are 75 countries that would like to negotiate with the President Trump, and I think that's the countries that they take a stand. Like they choose America, and we can see that like when America start to pivot, the world will follow suit. The American people have already used their votes to choose this pivot. President Trump too has used tariff to begin steering the world in this direction. The fact that 75 key nations have chosen to negotiate with the US is the proof. And the 75 nations are still the world's major players. The countries that choose to align with the CCP, even if they band together, simply cannot keep up. Once tariffs take effect, the foreign trade orders originally destined for the US cannot be absorbed domestically by the CCP. The so-called internal circulation is a dead spiral. After the democratic rule of law camp decouples from the authoritarian rule by men camp, how will the future unfold? Without the capital and technology support of the democratic camp, such as advanced chips, how long can the authoritarian camp survive? So when China economic grow from weak to strong, the people within its walls, having tasted the fruit of capital and advanced technology, could they tolerate a regression in their living standards? Could the CCP officials endure it? Of course not. Now let's talk about the people outside the walls. The people outside, having experienced democracy, rule of law, and freedom, have no desire to be governed by an authoritarian regime. Moreover, nations outside prefer earning US dollars over Chinese yen. The CCP also won't allow other countries to earn yuan and then leave China. So to those within the party who are still hesitating, stop wavering. Removing Xi Jinping now would be a monumental achievement, making you a national hero. So I think once the tariff take effect, the big monster, the CCP, will start to bleed. So I think it's a good start for the world. Thank you.
Right. It definitely is a great start of move against the CCP. And unfortunately, we already see the effect. You know, there's a lot of the Chinese factories are either closing or has been closed during the past decades, the last few days and weeks. And because they're concerned about this tariffs is going to influence their export. We all know that the Communist China has been heavily relied on international trade, especially within the United States, hundreds of $1 billion every year. And if that is influenced, you know, we're kind of worried about the CCP's economy is going to facing collapse very soon. And that's one of the reasons that my school has been tell the Western world, you know, you got to cut the ties, especially economically, with the CCP, because all the money, the ruling of the CCP, of all the people inside of Communist China, is basically the money, the trade with the US. If you cut that, and their ruling become unstable. But unfortunately, we already see a lot of impact directly to the normal people, hardworking people like slave workers in the communist China. And let's watch the video to see the DIM's economy currently inside of China right now.
倒闭了！
我天哪，大石栏这口的麦当劳都没了！我的天哪，那可是地标啊！我的天哪，没了，太可怕了。
有网友说我上一个视频是不是去了人家商场已经没有开了的商场？不是的，现在我已经进第2家商场，大家看一下，这真的是不可思议。 这都是在营业的，就是说有些商家开着的也是没人，就坐在那里，对吧？看到没有？这真的是在营业的商场，而不是说我去找的专门关了那样的商场。看到没有？这一家就开着的，这怎么会这个样子？大哥，来。 哎呀天哪！而且那个，算了，走了。外面大街上的啊，我等一下再给你们发一下。这他妈怎么会这样？这个他妈看来以后买双鞋子都得去银泰了。你们看，都是店铺转让，除了这个药店，我看还开门开在这里，这咋整啊？这个？ 难搞，真的是不可想象。才1年多的时间吧，这个商场曾经人山人海。我有的时候来这里买点东西啊，什么，对吧？我今天说礼拜天来看买双鞋子，对吧？结果你们看看，全部是转让，已经全部关门了。 这他妈的什么情况？这是，天哪，太不可思议了！要么开着的就是没人，要么就是全部转让，关起来。哎，这个街面上都这样，太吓人了。
浦东机场，这是安检完了以后，进这个到登机口这个路上。 沿途所有的专卖店全关门，应该是疫情闹的，就是经营不下去了。看看。 苞米这是全都撤柜了。这个是后街口的一个商业区，只有这么一家开门，其他的都关门。然后呢，往前走。 这边还有一个商业区，看见了吗？然后这儿也是好多家都关门，用挡板遮盖住了。然后只有头上前边有一家是卖烟酒的在开门。 所以啊，这整个的浦东机场候机厅的商业也都受到了特别大的打击。
Yeah, it's pretty saddening video to watch and to see the used to be very the great economy and now has turned into a slump, or even recession. You can call it either way. But that's the consequence of eliminating the CCP. The ordinary people, their jobs has been significantly reduced because of this trade tariff. And it has been some recent news that a lot of the international company invested in China is already exiting the country, and a lot of companies also closing or at least temporarily shut down their factory because the demand is keep declining. So I don't know. It's really bad to the Chinese people right now. Hopefully, it's only temporarily, and we can get rid of the CCP very soon. And then now let's get back to Truth 007. And thanks for finding this video for us. And what's your opinion? Do you think it's going to be a short term for Chinese people? And will this help to take down CCP faster?
I think it would. Okay. Definitely, these like the in the video you see okay, McDonald's shut down in a very prominent business zone, as well as you also hear news a couple of days ago that the Nissan's new factory, only 2.5 years old factory in Wuhan, okay, with a capacity of 130,000 cars production per year, and the last 12 months they only manufactured somewhat 15,000 cars, so they just can't operate anymore and decide to shut down. Okay, and so there are many factories due to start from the pandemic lockdowns, and then the CCP's totalitarian style, and results in unemployment, of course, plus Trump's tariff, which are suddenly sharply reduced the demand. Many goods being prepared to shift overseas are now stay in the warehouse in the airport. So that's really big problem. So the demand, once the US cut down the demand by using tariff as a strategy, that really impacted the employment. And you see those factories, these businesses, okay, and retailing, you see big brand like Armani, all right, and Tommy, and other famous brand. We also saw them in Australia as well. They are shut down as well. So that means the people who want to buy something, and the only one, I think 2 shops are open. One is empty. Another one is the chemistry shop, sell medicine. That is still operating. That indicates the people are still very sick. They need to buy drugs and the medicine. That's okay. And a couple of my friends in China also opened drug stores, and they're booming as well. So which means people are really sick. And with no demand, so unemployment is very high. Most of the shops are for what? For release. So in other words, the business is already run and gone because there's no customer. So that's not something just what you see. It's a common thing. So I think at this moment we can see the CCP's retailing as well as manufacturing, both domestically and also international brand like a car maker Nissan, okay, shut down factory in Wuhan and just closed. The reopen time is unknown, so maybe never come back again. So I think multinational corporations, once they lose the money and once they know they have made decision, I think it's pretty unlikely they're going to come back to China. So we can see now from the trend, we've been monitoring that for last 5 years. And Miles Gore warned the world that if you not run fast enough from China, you are not going to get your capital recovered. I think the Nissan factory is the case for sure. Okay, so back to you. See.
Thank you so much. There's so many examples, like many factories are closing, the Chinese factories, and exiting the country because of many reasons, and they don't feel secure because the COVID policies and all these totalitarian policies that really make people worried about their company's future. And I think at least till right now, we can see the President Trump's administration has been very, very firmly against against the CCP, and they're trying to rebuild a stable and also favorable global order for the rest of the world without the CCP. And that's really, really good news. And of course, there are going to be some upheavals. There are going to be some disruptions to economies, but we have to do this. It has been delayed for a long time, and the concern has been that even the President Trump wants to take down the CCP, but there might be a lot of bureaucratic politicians or the CCP's colluders in Washington D.C. They may be trying to undermine this tariffs, and that's kind of concern. I don't know if Chris has some opinions on this, and do you worry about that?
Excuse me, I worry about what?
Do you worry about the whole economy or the sellout in the United States, the deep state?
Like, here's the thing. Like, we know that McDonald's has branches all over the world. The Big Mac index, a non-formal economic indicator, is used to measure the purchasing power parity of different countries' currencies. And in the video showed that McDonald's is starting to close stores in China. McDonald's does not engage in an unprofitable business. If a store is not making money, it will naturally close their unprofitable locations. And however, such a situation are rare. Even during the peak of the pandemic and city lockdowns, McDonald's was still able to profit through delivery services. So in reality, McDonald's is, and also that we know in reality, McDonald's is in the real estate business. It selects locations with the highest foot traffic, and McDonald's rent serve as a benchmark for commercial properties rents in the given area. So if even McDonald's has no customers, it indicates the decline of the local business district. If McDonald's stores close one after another in large numbers, it is a precursor to the decline of Chinese commerce. So that's a sign that China's real estate and banking sectors are on the verge of collapse. So you mentioned the deep state. I think President Trump will clean out the deep state. So maybe it's not that fast, but at least we can see that President Trump is trying to do it with the help from Mr. Kesh Patel and other his higher officials. And also that we can see how the decoupling connect to what Mr. Miles Guo mentioned before. Mr. Miles Guo mentioned that take down the CCP by the CCP itself. So when the decoupling begins and the economics in China go down, then within the Chinese Communist Party, they can use this to go against Xi, and that's how take down the CCP by the CCP itself works. It's like leveraging the internal contradictions, power struggles, and high-level corruption within the CCP to prompt the self-destruction of the CCP regime. So by allowing Xi Jinping to consolidate power and eliminate other fractions, once the Wang, Meng, Jiang, and the Zheng family have been nearly eradicated by Xi, turning the Communist Party into Xi's personal party. Eliminating Xi would save all of China and the world. Only the CCP's senior officials and interest groups know the party's fatal weakness. Only extraordinary figures from within the CCP can bring down the Communist Party and Xi Jinping, leading to the party's instantaneous collapse, far more sudden and swift than anyone could imagine. So when the economics in China goes down, then the members of the CCP can use this to go against Xi. So the decoupling can help to take down the CCP. That's how I think. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris, for summarizing all these impacts. Yeah, it is a very I think it represents the beginning of collapse of the CCP, as Chris just mentioned, and this economic crisis that caused a huge instability and political struggle inside of the Chinese Communist Party's senior leadership, and they're going to fight for the smaller pies. They smaller resources. The ruling of the CCP is based on small coalition groups of top the CCP senior officials, and when their interests are touched, when their interests are influenced, they're going to find ways to recover that. One of the way, obviously, is to remove Xi and get rid of the Chinese Communist Party. That's the hope. Another takeaway I would like to emphasize, and you can see that the victims of and not just victims, and also let's start from the root cause, as one of the slides that was playing showed. And a lot of people, like even the Western media, they're blaming, oh yeah, President Trump, you're imposing tariffs on Communist China, on CCP. Therefore, our money is influenced. We're going to see inflations. But that's just the superficial root causes. The real root causes is the Chinese Communist Party. They're stealing. They're, along with some small group of deep states, includers in Wall Street, in DC, and they are stealing the money from people all over the world. The Chinese people are victims. American people are victims. The US people, everyone, the ordinary hardworking people, the middle class, their life are influenced because of the wrong policy that the CCP and the global elites has been playing during the last few decades. So we're going to say that the CCP does not equal Chinese, and we got to distinguish that. And, you see that the miserable life right now inside of communist China for ordinary people. So we got to work together, and hopefully we're going to take down the CCP very soon. And the President Trump's tariff is definitely a very, very strong fist against the CCP. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little over time, so we'll give our audiences a few more minutes to summarize, and we're going to wrap up our show today. So let's again start with Mr. Truth07. Could you just wrap up and summarize what do you think the importance of this tariff and decoupling?
Yeah. Okay. Well, certainly, over the last 3 years, we've been talking about decoupling, and with the Biden administration, it didn't happen. So with Trump re-elected again, I think it is a very important strategy, which definitely, and we know Mr. Peter Lavallo and Mr. Steve K. Bannon, both of them are the advocate to making suggestions to Trump administration that we must decouple the CCP. You remember Trump, and there is a book called The Unrestricted Warfare, written by one of the military majors of the CCP, and they clearly outlined, that's about like 7 or 10 years ago, outlined how the steps to take down the United States as a superpower and make China become, China 2035, 2040, 45, and China will be ruled overcome United States and rule the world. And the strategy is like a BGY through BGY, and then go through 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 plan. Moscow often exposure those plans because we got the intel from the CCP's top intelligence Moscow has in China for so long and prepared for over the last almost like 30 years. So those hard documents published books by the CCP's top military generals themselves, which clearly outlined that they're going to use biological weapons such as COVID-19 and with the Wuhan P4 labs, created the gain of function drugs and also the global mandate of vaccinations, which we know is now biological weapon. And the US only recently considered that it's a bilaterally, accident, list. But indeed, Moscow continuously emphasized it is an intentional plan. It is part of the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 plan to take down American. And with the fentanyl, which is a strong drugs which are being used to kill millions of citizens in the United States, American people. So those is a war, it's unrestricted warfare. Then now Trump started, I think only a little bit late, but not too late. Started with what? With tariffs, because the CCP's economy cannot survive without the exporting. Exporting revenue about the $3 trillion. The $3 trillion. Remember that money actually US dollars goes to the bank account of CCP control, the family control, the top 5 or 6 banks in China, like a Bank of China, for example. And they never really go back to the pocket of the workers. The workers only get the minted the RMB, and the US dollars belong to the CCP to control. What they use them there for, they use that as BGY to corrupt all these key officials in the United States, including intelligence, military, police force, and so on. Those rumors now will become, hopefully will become a fact to show the American people how widely, deeply the CCP have infiltrated the United States, all different aspects, from the judiciary, to the military, to the police force, and also universities, research institutions, and Hollywood. So this is called unrestricted warfare. But I think Trump's administration with intelligence, they have done a great thing. Let's put the tariff on to say who is real. You can see very quickly, and the CCP's export engine shut down. It's just like the first week or the first 2 weeks, the order reduced by 60% from the United States. That results in another side. We see all the videos, the footage, and the TikToks shows how many factories were manufacturing clothes or toys or consumables such as in Temu and another platform. They just closed the factories, and also Nissan's closed its factories because they couldn't even make 10% of the manufacturing capacity in the Wuhan, in the new factory. So that all indicate that it had the immediate effect in creating, in the one side is unemployment, rapid unemployment, and social instability, which for us as Chinese is not really good for our brothers, sisters who are getting employed and then unemployed. But however, it is a short plan to take down the CCP and force Xi Jinping to jump into a quick revenge. We can see, the quick revenge, which will, the BRICS and the banks were decoupling from US dollar, trying to use gold, which is a 3.4 metric ton of gold that the CCP have bought together. They're going to trying to, engage in financial warfare against the US dollars as a reserve currency in the world. So all that will only reinforce Trump administration and US government to really come out with a more effective, efficient, fast strategy to really push the CCP to resolve. And as you know, as both of you gentlemen mentioned, that because of the tariff warfare will result in CCPs already divided two sides. Okay, some pro Xi Jinping, some against Xi Jinping, only makes them have a massive fight. When they fight, it's it's very bloody, it's life and death. So that weakens the CCP as a group, as a whole. Hopefully, somewhat God power happens, and then Xi Jinping will be gone, and then China will be liberated with the help of the new federal state of China and the Manchestor. So we want to free Manchestor and take down the CCP. Back to you. See.
All right, thank you very much for summarizing, and it is a great moment, and we'll give the time, last a couple minutes to Chris.
Okay, so from the video we saw, it proves that the tariff does work. That's why the economics right now is really bad in China. So this is the true state of the CCP China. The CCP is not as powerful as they claim. China is not as resilient as they assert. On the contrary, the CCP is becoming increasingly fragile, just waiting for the right moment for everything to change suddenly and for the CCP to collapse. Yeah, that's how I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As summarized, it is working. We just heads up. We may be facing a little bit of economic problems in the near future, but that's the necessary step. There's no other ways the world, and we're paying the debt that the CCP has been making for the last few decades, and it was wrong mistakes, definitely, to cultivate them to become such a powerful totalitarian country. But it's about the time, we gotta take our responsibilities and to eliminate the CCP from the world. So again, thank you very much for your time and watching us. Thank you, Truth and Chris, for coming to our show today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take down the CCP.
Take down the CCP, take down the CCP, CCP, take down the 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 CCP.
Take down the CCP, take down the CCP. Follow me and I'ma set us free. Take down the CCP.
Let me tell you what I've been through, baby. Lived a life that was hella unfair. Seen things that been driving me crazy. In a country where the leaders don't care. Didn't think we had the courage to change it. Tore it down and they weren't prepared. Everything that they kept us from saying. Now we talking and they better be scared. Take from us. Tell us what and who to love. Swear I finally had enough. It's time to rise above.
Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Follow me and I'ma set us free. Take down the CCP. I said, take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Communism's dead to me because it killed our families.
Capitalism sucks, hard for me to give a fuck. I to tell them and they try to keep it on the hush. Middle finger up, turn into a fist. They wanna keep the poor so they never rich. If you wanna see the future, look into the past. Been a century of silence, we gon' take it back. I'm just stating facts, tell you how it is. Ain't no way to change shit if we don't resist.
Take from us. Tell us what and who to love. Swear I finally had enough. It's time to rise above.
Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Follow me and I'ma set us free. Take down the CCP. I said, take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Communism's dead to me because it killed our families.
这是你我
必须，这是你我维护正义的必须。Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Follow me and I'ma set us free. Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP. Communism's get to me because it killed our families. 你完了，共产党！你完了，共产党！你完了，共产党！